Hey girl, hey! Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing, as you already saw by the title, a pretty requested video. This is going to be my favorite affordable slash drugstore makeup brushes slash tools. This is kind of going to be the start to a series that I plan on doing here. Maybe going into foundations and eyeshadows and bronzers or blushes, just beginner friendly, affordable things. And it's not necessarily just for someone who's starting out with makeup, but even someone who knows what they're doing with makeup, but they're looking for more affordable things, because hey, we're all on a budget. I don't care how much money you have, don't lie, you're on a budget too. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started, and let's check out my favorite brushes. All right, let me get my coffee. So at first, when I decided to do this video, I was going to kind of go by brands, and then I realized that would kind of be all over the place. So I decided that I'm going to do it by the order that I would apply it on my face. Just to kind of, as a disclaimer, you will see a reoccurring theme of some of the same companies in this video. And that's only because there is really a limited supply of affordable drugstore companies that make decent brushes. So that is why you will probably see about the same 3 to 4 makeup companies. It's not that I'm biased, it's just this is what works for me, and that's just how it goes. So let's get started. So the first thing when we're talking about base foundation, I'm referring to whether it's liquid foundation, cream foundation, stick foundations, any type of foundation base. That's what I call my base. This is the Wet n Wild foundation flat top kabuki brush, and I'm not going to even attempt to guess any prices in this video. I will leave some type of annotation somewhere on the screen or in the description bar below to let you know prices and where you can get them, things like that. So I don't want to speak wrong in this video. But the Wet n Wild flat top foundation brush, this is really affordable. It's great for packing in foundation. I just really enjoy this. It's not as dense as a lot of other brushes I will show you, but this is really great for starting off. It's very soft, and I definitely recommend it. The one, and this is probably the first makeup foundation brush that I ever bought myself when I first started makeup, and that is the E.L.F powder brush. Now it's called a powder brush, and just to kind of let you know, a lot of brushes don't listen to what they tell you on the brush or what it's marketed for. You do you, girl. Do whatever you want to do with that brush. So this may say powder brush. I use it for foundation. I use it for powder. I use it for, sometimes I'll take the edge and use it for bronzer. Do not let them tell you what you have to use it for. That's what they're marketing as. That's what they recommend you use it for, but use it for you. Don't be limited in that box of what they are telling you to use it for. You will see a lot of brushes in here I use dual purpose, so just giving you that disclaimer now. You may be thinking, girl, that says powder brush. Well, not to me, honey. It says anything I want it to say. So back to this brush. It says powder brush. I use this specifically for foundation. I also have used it to press in powder when I'm ready to set my face. It's definitely a brush that you can find and will be easily accessible. I recommend it. I still use this to this day, even with any of my high-end foundation brushes and powder brushes. I still use this brush. It's amazing. I know some E.L.F brushes are known to come apart at the ferrule right here. I haven't had that happen to me with this particular brush. I have had it happen with other E.L.F brushes, but it's E.L.F and it's not expensive, so I don't really trip or get upset if it falls apart. Just go get another one. Now if it was a $20, $30 foundation brush and it fell apart, hell yeah, I'd be upset. So that's why these type of things, I love buying them, because if it does fall apart or I lose it when I go on vacation or travel with it, it's not a big deal. I could just go repurchase it. Another company that you'll hear me talk about, and I love their brushes, is Morphe Cosmetics. Now Morphe is only available either online on their website or in the Morphe store if you live in California, specifically Southern California because their store is in Burbank, California. And now there is a lot of controversy with Morphe online. Some people say their brushes shed, or they're a shady company because they, you know, don't make their products, they just slap their name on it. Whatever your opinion is on Morphe, I can only give you my opinion as to how their brushes worked. Now, I haven't bought a lot of their other lines. I know they have like a gunmetal line. They have a lot of different lines. My brushes are mainly from the Elite collection. So this one is the E44, and the E stands for Elite, and I have not had any issues with any of my brushes like shedding or falling apart. These are the same brushes that I have bought when I first bought them, I think maybe 3 years ago, and I have had no issues. So not to say you won't, but I can only speak for my brushes. The Elite collection I do find is a little bit more pricier than their other lines, and that might be why these brushes last so much longer. So just check out their website. I love this for buffing in foundation. So this is really good for cream foundations or like a stick foundation that you want to buff into the skin. I wouldn't use this for like a BB cream or a tinted moisturizer because those are very thin and you don't need to buff those into the skin. And then another Morphe brush, this is a really dense brush, is the M439. This is not part of the Elite collection, but this is the same brush that I bought a couple years ago and nothing has happened to my brush. This is the same type of brush as the previous one. I would use this for buffing in foundation. This is an awesome brush. I definitely recommend it. Lastly is Real Techniques. Now, Real Techniques, out of all of these companies that I'm going to be mentioning, is my favorite drugstore affordable company. Their brushes are phenomenal. They are on par with some of the highest, priciest foundation brushes or just makeup brushes in general that I have found. Every brush that I have, I've only had to buy it one time. It's never shed on me. They've never fallen apart. They are quality makeup brushes. So if you take anything from this video, definitely check out Real Techniques. They love it. This is the Real Techniques sculpting brush. Now, I think this came in a kit. I don't think this is sold on its own, but this one has so many different uses that I use it for. Cream contour, this would be a great contour brush. This is great for me if I'm doing just a light application of makeup. I use it for that. I also use it for under the eyes when I'm packing in my concealer or blending out my concealer. I use it for stick foundation to blend it into the skin. I love this brush. It's just a great brush. Now we're going to go on to powder foundation. Real Techniques brush. This is probably the first Real Techniques brush that I bought, and this is their powder brush, but this one I might use at the end to buff everything out. If you've ever watched any of my previous videos, when I do put on new application, whether it's bronzer, blush, anything, I do like to go in and blend out any harsh lines, and this is really good for that, as well as just powder application in general. So this would be good for like a loose powder. If any of you use like Bare Minerals powder, this is a great brush for that. You don't want, when you're using a loose powder, to pack that into the skin because it is loose. Those are type of things that you would want to buff into the skin. So this is a great brush for buffing into the skin. We'll go on to concealer. So for concealer, to be honest, I mostly use sponges, and I will get into sponges later in the video, probably the last thing I do, but I use sponges the most to blend in my concealer. But every once in a while I will use a small brush, and this is also Real Techniques. This is a contour brush. Now, this actual design is a limited edition set, but this brush is sold, is part of their permanent line, the contour brush. And like I said, as you can see, this is the contour brush. That's what they marketed towards, but I have used this for blending out concealer under the eye, and I usually use this if I'm doing a very light makeup application day. So like I don't need to do the whole Pocahontas under the eye, on the forehead. If I don't need all that for that day and I'm just putting it on to cover, you know, my dark circles or anything, and I'm putting on BB cream or tinted moisturizer, I will go in and just buff this in under the eye, and from there this is perfect. Then I'll just pat and set it with some powder. Excuse me. I have also used this for contour, so it is perfect for, you know, getting into that cheekbones, do that fish face and get into them cheekbones, girl. So I love it for both of those things. And yeah, so this is a great brush. That's pretty much the only two things I would use for concealer, like I said earlier, that brush and a sponge. Now when it comes to setting my concealer, you have seen me in my previous videos bake, and baking is when you're actually packing on that loose powder to set it and lock it in, and you leave it on while you continue the rest of your makeup. That's baking. That's a term that came from my drag queens out there. That's something when you want a full glam face and you're wanting your makeup to last all day, you would do the baking method. But not everybody needs to bake. It's not something that I do every day. It's not something that I do all the time when I wear makeup. Sometimes you want it to look more natural, not like you're wearing a lot of makeup, and you can just take a loose powder or a pressed powder and just pat underneath the eye and set the concealer. And for days that I do that, I go in with a brush like this, and as you can see, it's kind of like a triangle at the top, and it's, if you turn it to the side, it's really thin and tapered. And these type of brushes are best for under the eye, and this is the E.L.F blush brush. So back to what I said before, they're marketing this as blush. Now I don't know whose cheekbones this is gonna put blush on, because this thing is so tiny. You see these cheeks? This ain't gonna work. So I don't use this for blush, of course. I love this under the eye. It fits perfectly. I just tap it into my powder and just tap under the eye to set my concealer. Another one that's just the same type of design as this brush is the Real Techniques 300 brush. As you can see, they're very similar. Any brush that looks like this I really love for packing under the eye. Now this Real Techniques line is their rose gold line, I think is what they call it. These are more pricier than the other regular Real Techniques line, so that will be a little higher in price, but I really love this line as well. Like I said, I loved all Real Techniques, and this is also perfect for right under the eye. Another one that's a little bit more fluffier is, I love this for when I'm baking and I need to brush away the bake. This is the Morphe E42 brush. And like I said, it still has the same type of shape as those two, but it's a little bit more fluffier. I use this to sweep away my bakage. So I'll still go in with like a pressed powder to get a little bit on my brush, and then just sweep away anything underneath the eye. I love this brush for that. I've also used this for blush before, so it's good for that. I've used it for highlight. This is a really good multi-purpose brush. Lastly, for under the eye, and this one is really if you want, maybe if you have like a smaller under eye area or you want more precise application, this is the Real Techniques setting brush. It's a very tiny brush. It's perfect for getting in like that inner corner area. I've used this also for setting under the eye. I mainly love this for highlighting. I think it's gorgeous for that, but you can use it for either one. I also wanted to talk about stippling brushes. Stippling brushes are something that I use at the end of my makeup application, just before I spray any finishing spray. I will go in and use a stippling brush like this one. This is the E.L.F Stipple brush, and this one's dirty because I did use it today, and I will just go over my whole face just to make sure there's no harsh lines and blend everything in. I love this brush. Another one other than the E.L.F one is the Wet n Wild stippling brush. I love the E.L.F. one better just because it's wider. This one's a little bit more, as you can see, not as wide. It's more dense as a stippling brush. So this would be good to blend out particular areas, not necessarily the face. So maybe you went overboard with your highlight or your blush. I would just go in with this to blend that out. So that's what this is good for. Okay, so now let's get into one of my favorite things to wear and apply: blush. This is probably my favorite blush brush, and actually I think this is the only thing that I will talk about in here from this line, and this is the Sonia Kashuk Tools number 29 blush brush. This is such an amazing brush for applying this is such an amazing blush for applying oh my god, that is a real tongue twister. This is such an amazing blush brush for applying blush. So this goes great like for the apples of the cheeks and just sweeping it back. This one is Sonia Kashuk, to be honest, is like the Gucci of Target. It's kind of higher end. When you go down those makeup aisles, you'll find that Sonia Kashuk is one of the more pricier items there. It's still affordable compared to other makeup brushes you can get from Sephora, Ulta, you know, other places, but it is kind of on the higher end of the things that I will talk about here today. But I definitely recommend this. I think it looks a little different now. I think that now they have like a gold detailing or something, but it's still the same blush brush that I recommend. I love this. Another one is the Real Techniques blush brush, and this one I actually have used this also for multiple things. I've used this for bronzer, I use this for blush as well. I've also used it to pack on pressed powder, so this can be used for multiple different things. This is, I know for a fact, sold individually, so you don't have to buy like a full kit to get this. Another one that I love is the Real Techniques multitask face brush. Now, like it says, it is a multitask face brush, so you can use this for multiple things. I believe this is a limited edition brush. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if it is. I will try to find it, but I know for a fact this came in a kit, so you can't buy this alone. If it is still available, I will, like I said, try to link it. But this is something that is marketed as multitask, so you can use this for multiple things. I really like it for blush because of the angle. It fits perfectly right where I want my blush and just sweep it back. It's also really good for bronzer because of the angle. I would tilt it to the side here and just go right here if I contour bronzer area. But this is a really great brush, and I really hope it's not limited edition. I hope you can find it. Another one that I really like, and this is kind of the same shape as they're a little different. This is more tapered at the top, but this is the Morphe E3 brush. This is another one that you can use for many different purposes, specifically, you know, sweeping away your bakage or anything, but I love this also for blush, so I definitely recommend that one. And then this is an honorable mention because I actually was just introduced to this, and these are new brushes that are on the market. This is by Maybelline, and this is the powder brush, and this is what it looks like. It kind of has that same angle as the multitasker brush. It's really dense though. It's a lot more full and denser than the other one, but they are so soft, guys. And like I said, these are very new. I believe they just came out in the last month or so. So far, I think they're only sold at Walmart. Every time I go, they're always sold out. They have a line of like 4 or 5 brushes, so I'm trying to get my hands on them, but every time I go, this was the only one that they had there when I went. So keep your eye out for them. They are amazing soft brushes. So I did want to mention these because they are new to me, and so far I have really been loving them. And now I'm going to go on to bronzer slash contour. I don't contour a lot just because I do have pretty prominent cheeks. One of my favorite bronzer brushes, there's so many B's in all these words, oh my god. One of my favorite bronzer brushes is the E.L.F. Oh my gosh, it doesn't even have the name, I don't know if it didn't come with a name or it just wore off, but I will try to link it here. But this brush is amazing for a bronzer. It's really fluffy. It is still kind of tapered at the top, but it's perfect for packing on bronzer through the skin. I just love this brush. I'm really mad that it doesn't have the name on here. Another one that is fairly new is the E.L.F pointed powder brush. I use this for bronzer as well. Even though it is pointed, I really enjoy it for maybe if I want more of a precise application of bronzer, I use it for that. This is also a good powder brush as it's marketed for packing on powder, but I really enjoy this brush. E.L.F brushes are so soft. They are really, really soft. Speaking of E.L.F brushes, I'm just going to throw in an honorable mention. As you notice, most of the E.L.F brushes I have shown you have this black ferrule. Recently, they came out with this line, and isn't this gorgeous? And I don't remember what the line is called. It is sold at Target, and it has that clear ferrule. Now this brush I think is called their stippling brush. I haven't really figured out what to do with this brush yet. It's really dense, but at the same time it's like I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know what to do with this brush, honestly, but they are very soft, very well made. Once I figure out something to do with it, I will let you know. But I just wanted to mention these to check them out. Maybe you'll find something that you can do with it. I guess it could be like a good brush or a I don't know. Another one that I use for blush and bronzer and a lot of different things is the multitask brush by Real Techniques. Also, I realized they call both of these multitask. Oh, so this is called multitask face brush, and this is just called multitask brush. So really interesting. But this one I know for a fact was also in a kit. I believe it's still a permanent kit, so I will link that. I really like this brush. Lastly, we'll go into highlight. After blush, this is probably my second favorite thing to apply, and I had already mentioned before that this is probably my favorite highlighting brush, the Real Techniques setting brush. I love this. It's perfect for that application right there. I also really love the Morphe M501 brush. This is, I believe, marketed as an eyeshadow brush, but I love this for a highlight because it has that fluffy tapered tip, and it's perfect for applying highlight where you need it. So this is a great one. Another one that you'll see typically for a highlight is fan brushes, and this is actually by BH Cosmetics. This is a kit. This polka dot ferrule is a full kit that they sell. I don't believe they sell these individually, but any fan brush is great for highlight as well. And this one is super, super soft, and it's just perfect for that highlighted area. So definitely check out BH Cosmetics. They are sold on bhcosmetics.com, and I believe recently they are now on Ulta. Not the whole line, but I believe some of their things are starting to be sold at ulta.com. I don't think they're sold in the store yet, but ulta.com, so definitely go check that out. And that is it for the face brushes. I did want to mention sponges real quick here, and then we are done. Of course, I know when you think of sponges, the first thing to come to your mind is beauty blenders, and I love the beauty blender. It probably is my favorite sponge, but since we are talking about affordable things, I will mention some that I consider dupes or that are very similar and do the same job as the beauty blender that are way more affordable. So one of my favorite ones is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. I love this sponge. I love that it has that flat edge, which is perfect for the foundation portion. Sponges are my favorite way to blend out my concealer. That's what this tip is perfect for, putting that right underneath and getting into that inner corner and blending that out. 9 times out of 10, I will be using a sponge to blend out my concealer. So sponges are my favorite thing for foundation application, especially if you have like a thicker foundation. I used today on my face the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer in the color Spiced Almond. this foundation is very, very thick. So when I used this today, I did use a sponge, and that sponge I used today, as you'll see, it's very dirty, is the EcoTools sponge. I really, really love this sponge. Now this is a damp sponge. It's kind of drying out now, but it's fairly damp. The most important thing about using a sponge is that you are using it damp. So you do want to, you know, put it underneath the water, squeeze it until it gets real full of water, and then you want to squeeze out any excess. So I will show you right now the difference between what a dry sponge looks like and then a wet. As you can see, it is going to almost double in size, and that is how you want to use a sponge. That makes it so that it is very, I don't know the word, that makes it so it's very pliable and easy to bounce onto the skin. The EcoTools sponge, which in the pack it comes with two. This is the smaller one and this is the bigger one. And like I said, sorry, this is dirty. I did use this today. But this has that same flat edge, which is perfect for you know, applying it onto the face. And then on the back, it does also have a flat edge, but it's smaller, so it's good for getting underneath the eyes to blend out concealer. And it has that flat edge on the side to kind of help to mold and sculpt the face. So these are a really good pack to check out. The NYX Cosmetics has a really good one as well. This is of course dry, and I really love this one. It kind of reminds me of the Real Techniques one with that flat edge. Real Techniques has a diamond sponge. Now I know this looks weird, but at first when I first got this, I thought, you know, what are you gonna do with this on your face? But it actually really does work well. Once it's damp and it expands, this part is perfect for packing onto the skin, and then this little point at the end is great for getting underneath the eyes. So I do really enjoy this sponge as well. Let's see, I heard the L'Oreal sponge is really good. I haven't actually got that one myself, but I have seen reviews. So those are the sponges that I would recommend from the drugstore, so definitely check them out. So I was going to go into eye brushes in this video, but because I talk too much, this is going to be a long video, so I'm trying to cut it down. So we're just going to stick with face base brushes in this video, and then I will follow up in a later video with eye brushes. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. Let me know if you go check out anything, or if these are already some of your favorites. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and comment below and let me know. That like button is what lets me know if you're enjoying this video, if you want to see more. So don't forget to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can join the fam bam here, and also hit that bell button below. That is how you get notified of any future videos from me. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.